Hey you guys, it's MJ from Alta Love. How are you? The 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 energies feel incredibly it feels almost like all of humanity is like being ushered through this tunnel, and it's all very bizarre and nobody necessarily knows exactly where we're going. And everyone's just sort of like checking in with each other, like, are we going in the right direction? I'm not sure. And like, some people are like limping along, and some people are feeling pretty miserable, and some people are feeling pretty fantastic. Hi, Jamie. Hi, Jessica. How are you? Um, so there's like this sort of slow, steady climb, I want to say. And at the same time, the way we're processing, the way we're interpreting, the way we're shifting, the way we're clearing, all of that has sort of amplified, increased, become more heightened. There's greater awareness. It's just awareness. All of it, all of the stuff that we sort of talk about is something to do with our human awareness. Being aware of something, being aware of ourselves, being aware of this world. And ultimately, a quantum leap in our human evolution is us being aware of ourselves in a much broader capacity, i.e., being aware of ourselves as creators of the world that we perceive versus slaves or victims, or simply just separate from the world that we perceive. So we're unifying that connecting point within ourselves to, I guess you could say, survive this passage through the corridor of evolution, you could say, or which in one sense is this sort of death process. And yesterday when I was driving around, I was having the thought about like how this quantum leap, this human evolution has to do with us living our lives, you know, like fully living fully in our desires, in our desired state, in this joyful exuberance for life, for self, for all. And then I was thinking about how the fear of death is ultimately a big part to me of how we got as convoluted as we are, a misunderstanding or a deception around death being a finality in these bodies versus the deeper truth of our eternal self, the deeper truth of our eternity. And because we bite into the lie of death as a construct, we've then been perpetuating separation as something to build on. Fear, judgment, judging the Almighty God outside of self, and living in fear of persecution, living in fear of being damned to hell. And hence we're living in these sort of more volatile, expansive times of contrast, because whenever we're rising in a big evolutionary or revolutionary change, there's always like it's like the tide comes out before the wave. Bigger the wave, the more the tide draws out. So the more sort of, I guess, maybe chaotic, or you could say actually the more you lose it all, the more everything, because that's more relevant to the tide analogy. It's that if everything in your life, if you've endeavored to make changes, say you endeavored to change your physical appearance, or you endeavor to change your the amount of money you make or whatever, and you're pulling on this one string, I just want to change this little thing in my life, and then you're like pulling, and then before you know it, like 10 years later, you're like, my whole life has changed. and I think that's sort of like what happens. It's like life happens while you're busy making plans, right? So when it comes to that totality of all of this transformation and this paradigm shift, in essence, you could say that it's that desire for change that ultimately leads us to transformation. It ultimately leads us to this paradigm shift. Another, I want to say, like, aspect to this, or another just angle to all of this, is like, in regards to like the one self owning their life force, there is the control domination energy is a disempowered aspect, and yet there is a siphoning of our energy. Hence the self-responsibility piece of doing the feedback work so that you can engage consciously in what you're consuming, environmentally speaking, socially speaking, like food, whatever you're putting in your mouth, and that you as the one self can discern, what's right, what's good for you in any given moment versus what is not. And there's only the one self, so you can only honor the one true self, which is you. And in honoring the one true self, you do actually honor the whole. We're just so programmed to deny our desire and deny our wholeness that we fractalize and then extend that aspect of self externally as a trigger point. Now, it's one thing when everything is in harmony and on flow and we feel like, yay, this is my dream life and this is how I want to be living. It's another thing when we bump up against the edges that trigger us and then we push back. So what we're feeling a little bit in this tunnel phase or this bridging phase is like the backlash / kickback of human collective consciousness is their field that doesn't want to own it. That birth canal, great, divine sight, precisely. It's that phase for sure. Pardon me. So we have some pockets of humanity that are resistant. You could even say, around the world there'll be whole genders that are resistant to the change, or whole religious institutions that are resistant to the change, and yet it's absolutely undeniable, right? Yeah, it's undeniable in as far as the paradigm shift goes, right? And like the one thing, so I was getting this other insight about oh yeah, the only thing sustainable is change, yeah, for sure, right? But that's just the constant, isn't it? Oh yeah. So I was thinking about this as another, like, I love kind of noodling down to this sort of like these basic truths, or not truths, but basic kind of systems, I guess, that most people could probably understand. And another way to look at this paradigm shift is the fact that the entire, and I've probably said this in shares, right? So it's like the value system, the baseline, or like the main belief system of humanity is changing, the value system. So where you are, that's not useful, honestly, like private messages during and ultimately, like, we can express and see the truth in other via our own, sorry guys, I just got really distracted then, and this is my own thing. This has to do with my own boundary ultimately. Yeah, so the value system in humanity. Yeah, sorry guys. I'm very aware of like I'm here on this channel, and then when I use my phone, I probably, this is my own responsibility. I need to turn off notifications because I get like people's messages come through, and people watching and then sending private messages. I'm like, that feels really, really off to me. Especially when there's like a critique of like, either be present with me here or not. Like, don't be present with me here and then like critiquing me and then telling me like what's wrong. And I'm like, I'm just here being me today. Today's a new day and I'm here sharing. And there actually, and this is actually so freaking relevant to this share. Own your life. This is my life. I own my life. I wrote a book about it. And part of the reason I wrote the Fearless Life Guide was literally to be like, this is how I work. If you want to know how I work, read my book and you'll get a really profound insight into my process. I wrote it down. You know, it's 11 steps. It's 150 odd pages or something like that. And it is teaching the self of being fully owning yourself. So the things that you feel, you know, own that. Everything I feel, I own. You know, when I have these little triggers and when I get these, and people are like, oh my God, are you okay? It's like, yeah, sure, I am. I own my feelings though. And if I'm here live with you guys and there's a trigger that comes up and it's too powerful for me to hold for myself in your presence, that's when I go. You know, I leave. And dare I say, when people don't have, you know, an entourage of people around them, when the people that we idolize as the gurus or the masters or the people who just, you know, whatever, dare I say that they probably have reactions too behind closed doors when things aren't perfectly set up for them, you know? And this is where my endeavor to show up most days for you guys, regardless of like, and here, and I share with you very openly, it's like, I can be with my intuition and I can share intuitively, which is always where I'm at ultimately, but I'm also aware of those subtleties of like honoring myself and taking time to rest when I need time to rest, saying what I need to say when I need to say it ultimately as well. And that has to do with respecting boundary, you know, like like today, just being like, I don't, like, again, this is something that feels perhaps kind of bizarre for people, but this is my actual work. This is my actual business. This isn't like a part-time hobby. I've spent the last 12 years, or 10 years rather, teaching yoga full-time. Even when I was a full-time yoga teacher, a lot of yoga teachers would be nurses and teachers, and they didn't teach yoga full-time. It was like a little sideline thing that they inserted into life to make it better, which is great. But like this, and this platform of how I share and express, this is my work. It's not a hobby. I'm not looking for attention. Maybe I am a little. And it's not even that. It's more to do with the fact that this is a connector point for me. This is a safe space for me personally to share and express. And I use that as my own biofeedback to discern connection, to discern how to up-level my awareness of boundary energetically, i.e. how to hone manifestation. I'm still working very tangibly and directly with my own body, manifesting my desired radiance, my desired size, that is a continual process. I am still working on manifesting certain dynamics, you know, and here's the thing about owning your life is that it never ends. And I I honor you and I love you to go and own your life. Focus on your manifestation. Focus on your creation, you know, and extend yourself here. If you're wanting to share space, that's again how we book session here. When we're wanting additional time and additional chat and additional space, that warrants an energetic exchange. Which again, when I say this is the work I do, that warrants a financial energetic exchange. And I'm very, very open. I love people and I love connecting, and the majority of you will definitely sense that. And yet where I'm continuously working is managing my own energy and allowing there to be an understanding of this process as a work, this process being an intuitive, being a highly sensitive empath, being somebody who processes and rests and listens, and, you know, a modern day mystic, you could say. And it's not a grandiosity, it's just personally, and I think a lot of you res with it, it's just how you've come to live your life. It's just how I've come to live my life, because I don't want to go out and do a 9 to 5. And I've seen through a system which most jobs I don't align with in my soul, because I don't. And this has been an intuitive journey of building and creating and navigating this authentic path with a business, All to Love, with a YouTube channel, All to Love TV, with a book, with merchandise, with online digital courses and products that people can buy to enhance their lives and ultimately support another human being, that this supports a collective of human beings, including people who have very, very little, you know. And instead of going off and just going through our day-to-day pattern continuously and, you know, buying stuff that is feeding a mechanistic worldview or feeding false leadership. And by false leadership, I mean leaders who are not connected to the whole and whose best interest is not in concern for the most vulnerable people on this planet. And so when we talk here about manifestation and, you know, owning one's life, it's your life. It's your life. And I'm here today because I'm living my desired life. And this is what's interesting about people's perceptions and judgments. It's that you're here because you choose to be here. And I am here when I choose to be here. And I, from 2012, have chosen to be here from my heart. I choose to be here because I am undergoing a process which I feel is quite miraculous and monumental and expansive. And my God, it feels so exhilarating and so blissful that I want everyone to come along for the ride. I want everyone to be free enough to let go of the fucking chains in their mind, to be liberated. And this is the thing. We want to sell these quick fix illusions. We want to sell the breath work, the yoga, the experience, the fucking pill, the drug, the food, the non-food, the green juice, whatever we're selling to each other. It's like, it's all still contained in you. It's still contained in your experience. There's absolutely no rules around any of this stuff. It's your vessel, your body, your mind. You know, what you choose to do for you is 100% your choice, and what you see around you is your portal of creation. And that's ultimately, again, where people bounce back and don't necessarily want to embrace the work totally, right? It's that I like this project, I like what I'm seeing here, and I don't like what I'm seeing here. So I'm going to deny that I'm seeing that there. And this is what I'm coming up against. I've had a bit of a rush of younger people booking sessions. And a lot of it is the depth of pain that they're experiencing in normal old things like a breakup. Just a little old breakup, but why does it hurt so much? Why am I feeling so much? Because you're fucking conscious. Because you're aware. Because you're not running away from your feelings like historically we've all been programmed to do. Whereas some people, depending on their veil of perception and depending on their life force, they haven't penetrated those veils yet. So there's a lot of dynamic and relationship being ripped apart because for example, the men are still expecting the construct to be a certain way. Women are awakening, going, don't want to play that game. And then women going, not going to play that, is triggering men who don't know how to own their emotions, so they can't own up or confess to their anger, their fucking hatred, their bitterness, their resentment. So they're unconsciously projecting that onto sensitive women who are then freaking out. And then the guys are going, you need to calm down. You need to get a hold of your emotions. You need to da-da-da. And I'm there supporting these women going, exactly. And they think their emotions have nothing to do with you. So all that we can do as the individual sovereign is withdraw, heal, clear, feel, process, and do what we will with our own personal life force. Because I can say without a shadow of doubt that I am not here to please anything outside of self. I am here to love myself fully because I understand co-creation and creation. It's like the more I love myself, the more permission I give all y'all to love yourselves. And it feels better and better and better and better because it just does, right? And I'm seeing some few hearts and I'm seeing like different things, and I really appreciate like the space here. Honestly, like it's just a space. And I feel in this present moment a little bit stronger in like being here for myself and like choosing to be here in service, because I surrendered my life to service like when I was 19, right? And like knowing that fundamentally. And so truly, if energy doesn't feel right or res, I ain't going there, you know? And I need to extend that sense of love when I do have reactions, when I do get triggered here. You guys, this is part of what a lot of people, when they get to know me, because I'm pretty, like, even sometimes with the coaching vibrashe, I can like say shit that like hit, and people are like hit, like I don't want to feel that, I don't want to go there, I don't want to do this is fucking annoying and relentless, why are you doing this to me? And you're like, and so you can say stuff that you're like, and then the empath, you're like, oh no, like what I said, it triggered and blah, blah, and then you're trying to hold space there. But then you realize that like and this is why I encourage people to read the book and get to know my process, is that like, no matter what, no matter where you are in life or where I am in life, like the truth of my heart space is that when I get triggered, if somebody does something to make me feel bad, I own that. I would never blame y'all for making me feel bad because of some comment you made, but again, I'm a human being who gets triggered. But I'm somebody as well who endeavors, and this is a little bit different from some of my some of the other maybe spiritual teachings or how we interpret teachings along the way, but like owning all that you feel and all that you are. And that was something that I feel got sidestepped in my personal learning about law of attraction, manifestation, and da-da-da-da, that people just wanted to skip to like happy, healthy, or they just wanted to skip to like positive thinking. And I was like, but wait a minute, I got introduced to Louise Hay when I was like 15 years old, and I've been practicing positive thinking since I was 15. And yet it weren't working. It weren't working. By the time I saw The Secret, I was like, God damn it. You know, like, I get this, I've been doing this, like, but it's not fucking working. And here was my stubbornness around manifestation. I was like, if I can't manifest the body I desire, what's the effing point? Because I don't want to live here if I'm forever going to be just kind of unhappy in my body, just kind of in a little bit of self-hatred with my cells. So it was like the physical apparatus that I was like, I love you, no judgment. I remember I've shared this with you guys for a good probably year and a half. All I could do was like, because you know it's self-love, they're like, look at yourself and love yourself. I was like, huh? Never gonna happen. But for like, again, 6 months or a year, it was just that I would look at myself and be like, I'm not here to judge you. And that took a long time to break through the feels of actually, I'm not here to judge you. Like straight up, I'm not here to judge you. So like, it's okay. It's okay. And then once that got okay, it was like, okay, you can love yourself. And I guess sometimes I'm in these different moods because I'm a human who's dealing with shit. And that's where I'm like little like, are you okay today? Are you da da da? Like, fuck, sure, it's just another fucking different day. I'm not a machine. I'm gonna have a slightly different tone and a slightly different edge and a slightly da 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 every single day. And I'm not looking for fixing. This is another big piece that I sometimes find that we're not quite grabbing into when we're doing all this stuff. It's like, you're perfect. Like you are divine. Sight. But no, it's true. Like, you are perfect. You already are. You already are the truth. You already are the way. You already are effing perfect. The only thing that distracts us from that is thinking that we're not. And or having a bunch of like unconscious shit going on inside that we're not tuned into, that we're projecting out around us in shitty relationships or in hardcore annoying financial situations until we move through that gate, until we process and see it and move through it. And I mean, in truth, owning your life, MJ, like that. I've taken leaps, and yet it's taken years to get to this point where I can genuinely say, I'm doing it. I'm owning my life. Like, I'm creating it consciously, and I'll face the shadows down, you know? And I guess that's where I'm like, it really is love. And I know when edges are coming up that I might hurt people's feelings, or I might but I want to encourage you to, even when I say something that might feel nasty for you, or even if you feel like, oh, fuck you, bitch, fine. But then it doesn't have to end there, you know? And this is like, I don't know why I'm getting this insight, but like, I'm also aware of like how all of these things that we share can be like reversed. And then somebody yesterday that I was working with who's going through some crazy shit, you know, they were really resonating with this idea of gates and like moving through these gates and having these portals. And she's like, well, what about in this situation dealing with a narcissistic person? And she was just like, yeah, but what about the narcissist? Like, will they ever face, like, how will they learn? You know, if they're always separate or always better or always righteous, like, how did they learn? And I was like, well, there we go again, isn't it? There we go, us empaths just going around trying to figure out how to make it better for everybody else, whilst we suffer financially, whilst we suffer emotionally, while we have no fucking energy because we're surrounded by parasites who are sucking the fucking life force from us. So I basically just I didn't slam it down, but I did in such a way. I said, there we go again, trying to work it out for them. I mean, what a life if I could just, for once, just focus on MJ. And not focus on MJ being a fucking light for everybody else all the time, but just focus on MJ. Right! Jessica, oh my jeez, girl. That makes me want to cry. We can only breathe for ourselves, of course. And here's the thing. We can ultimately, when it comes right down to it, we can only think for ourselves too. No one's going inside my head and forcing certain words to be there. You know, that's all my own. So I can, i.e., 5, 6, 7 years ago when I started to storm and noticed all these hatred words coming out, I'm like, no, I'm love and light. I'm a yoga teacher. I'm love and light. I don't harbor any hatred. Except there it was. I could hear it. I could feel it. Right? And so I'm like, there it is. It doesn't matter that I just turned 30 and I'm finally doing well in a yoga career. I've still got a whole bunch of shift to shit because I want more. I want more out of life. I don't want to be a slave. I don't want to teach yoga like a slave. I want to meet people from all over the world. I want to go to retreat centers all over the world. I want my besties to have their centers. I want my besties to all be living their dream life. And like, and who get it. Who get the fact that we're pioneering our own dream life so we can up level for humanity. It's not about being like, hey guys, I've created my dream life, therefore you should all want to learn from me. No. It's like, because that's power and control. That's control and domination, right? It's like, just live your life, lead by example, and the people who res with it will come with you, or they will find you. My dream life doesn't look like everybody else's dream life, but somehow our collective dream lives, they all res with each other. So in building a new world, what do we need? A fucking strong foundation. So we better make sure that at this point, the tribes that we work with, the clients that we work with, the people that we're attracting, we better make damn sure that they're in resonant connection with our heart. And that's manifestation. And also being able, like, in my heart of compassion as I navigate life, like noticing where I'm like, okay, I can hold space here, but I have to detach. Detach from entanglement. And perhaps that is just now par for the course as a sovereign being. Is that I just don't give my power to people, regardless of like the way they're coming into my life or the way they're, you know. I spent my whole life doing that. I spent my whole life giving the benefit of the doubt, assuming everybody was honest, assuming everybody wanted the best for everybody else, assuming assumptive reasoning is never the truth. So I spent too long assuming, and now I've done all this energy work, and now I can feel my power. And I'm like, boom, exactly. No, not everyone is your friend. And I'm not, and the thing is, like, at this point as well, because of my weird perception, I'm like, we're good, basically. We're good. Like, I don't, especially the people-pleasing energy. Who needs it? Who needs, like, friends that are all entangled in the lies? Basically. Fifth, permission granted. You know, but okay, let's have a little noodle with even, like, I'll stop being nice now too. Fine, like, but here's the thing, is like, people-pleasing doesn't mean being unkind. People-pleasing, or being more aware of the people-pleasing tendency is about lying to yourself. So, being a people-pleaser is actually being unkind to self. Because if you catch yourself people-pleasing, it's because you're fucking lying. Why? Because we live in a false economy, and so everybody needs to fucking lie to one another to get ahead in the world. So-called the construct, so-called the system of illusion, or the system of fear and domination, or whatever, right? Yeah, and I'm fifth learning that. Like, my naivety patterns are what I'm, like, still, like, calling out my own BS with the people-pleasing. And having to withdraw and observe my cycles and observe my patterns and see where they came from and blah, 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 blah. And it's liberating, but the weird thing is I retract some of them is that I can notice how you want to go back, how you feel like, oh no, I made them feel, and I'm like, you know what? They can fucking deal with it themselves. God! Like, that's my process, right? Right. People-pleasing is enabling the narcissist to not fucking do the work. Us being true to self just means not enabling people to live in denial, essentially, because we overcompensate. The empaths, and I'm watching this in myself and other, so we're the ones that have been victimized and in pain, but what do? We sit around and try to make it better for them, for the person who actually raped us, or the person who actually stole from us, or the person who actually denied us, right? And then I'll sit around in my little empath circles and be like, but they're wounded, or they mean well, they didn't intend. And I'm like, no, none of that. It takes a fucking momentum to act. You know, people, and this is, I'm speaking specifically of a violation, of an act of a violation, and I'm sitting here listening to somebody reaching out to me and asking for support and love in a really shitty situation. And then we're like, oh yeah, well, he's da-da-da, and so was like, yeah, but surely they didn't intend, and like that wasn't what they wanted. And I'm like, you don't get to that point of acting like that unless you're intending to do it. And that is, I'm fucking tired of making excuses for people's poor behavior, and that's just how it goes. But why? Because I don't fucking make excuses for mine. I'm there just constantly like owning it. Owning my life. I did that. I can own that. I can own this. And if you don't like it, fuck off. That and yet I am saying that with utter love. Because I know my heart, and I know my truth, and I know the amount of love and benevolence and grace that I have for this world and this humanity, and that I just want to receive the infinite amount of love so I can just pour it out of my soul. I don't care to have much here, right? I don't care to have stuff or some mansion or get a whole bunch of stuff to power over. No, it's pure benevolence so that like the poorest of the poor can live well on this planet. And that a lot of us as light workers or starseeds, we can fuck off. We can just finally go and be free in our cosmic travels. Why? I want to see you coming up. Yeah, that feels like one of those twisted love light archon grid things, though. Because here's the thing as well, like love as a feeling is just love, and it is unconditional love. It's just love. The fantasy of love, i.e. the Disney programming, is the trigger that triggers us all into falling in love, giving our power away because we think that happily ever after is invested in other, as a disempowered construct. And again, us women were, historically speaking, to survive in the world, we had to be wed. We had to find a man. To have any political voice, to have any economic standing, we had to be affiliated with a man. So our historical, our outworking here is deep, historical, profound, claiming our freedom, having a voice. Historically, people haven't had to listen to women. So it's like, this generation, everyone's speaking up. There's going to be backlash. That's why we get a little bit fired up and people are like, whoa, calm down. Yeah, I know, you're not fucking used to listening to women speak their truth, are you? Because we've not been allowed to do it for a really long time, and or we've been forced to sort of speak under the control and domination rule. Sure, a tree hugger Dave, exactly. And this is the weird paradox of the victim martyr mentality. It's that people pleasing assumes that we should choose how the other should feel and think. Yeah. So weirdly, you can see the manipulation in the people pleaser. The people pleaser is acting, yes, and then that makes perfect sense. You can see how it's the overcompensating. And then you can tell that the people pleaser is pure protecting of wound, but then you can also start to see how it's like collective. How the people pleaser wound is like, because I started to see it as well in a polarity where I could see an upper class person people pleasing the lower class person because the lower class person was providing a service and the upper class person wanted that service. So they're just, oh, nicey, boo, 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 boo. And again, that's fine. That's just the normal belt of fucking economic exchange. But for me, the elephant in the room is always the false economy. Right? To me, the elephant in the room is always the fact that we're living in a completely unfair playing field. It's an imbalance. It's an illusion. It's an illusion of control and domination that beings have put in place, and we have in a very cunning way, and this is why I don't blame anybody for being invested in the enslavement system. We sold out. And this is where, again, these going into real depths of depth here, but we sold out on an ethereal, on a spiritual plane to have the experience. Now, those of us with this awareness are waking up to be like, yes, but I will take my contract back and I will unsign because you... It's like the fine print. In spiritual law, or divine law, that's fucking shady shit. So in my divinity, I claim my sovereignty back because you in your little fucking fine print have been nasty. You've been deceitful. And so in my light-filled power, exactly. And all you need to do is be like, I did not sign it. I did not sign it. Just because you, behind my head, took some invisible string from my soul and, like, put it there, and for me to enter this field, I'm like, okay, sure, whee! Right? And then we're uncovering all of these weird, like, spiritual gates that we're having to pass through to enter this field. But we can honestly say that through the binary solar system, hence the atonement, the ascension, the awakening, is that us becoming more aware, us going through these emotional storms, like, it's that we're... the solar system is burning through the gates of hell, you could say. Us entering this, like, portal of our own solar system, these binary suns are now clarifying the earth field. So all of this disruption, all of this corruption, all of these dark web energetic forces that have been, like, parasitically feeding off the earth and us, are leaving. It's just how it is. It's just how it is. You cannot sell your soul. Well, I'm not saying you're selling your soul to Satan, but there is an aspect of giving one's power. The moment we extend the soul externally as, like, all of this stuff out there, we perceive it as outside of self, we've given power too. And thus we've given an aspect of self away. We've sold out, right? But, and yet it doesn't, it's never, you know, people might listen and be like, what? And you're like, no, but don't worry. It's still all contained in love. That's why it's divine. You know, that's kind of why it's also kind of beautiful and, like, because when you go to the depth, you'll find the love there, and it's just pure love, and there's not much. It's just peace and love, but it's like everything of creation, of light, is born out of that peaceful infinite void. It's just there. And so there truly is nothing to fear. But when we're talking about this little constructed earth field reality that we're all living in, there is co-creative aspects in the war, or the ever expansive journey of light and dark, of contrast, right? Of fiction, one could say. All in. Yeah. Well done. Nice flip there, tree hugger. Appreciate that. So we didn't, it's like we're all in, right? That's what we did. I like noodling with you guys. I'm randomly hearing about, like, isn't it nice just to be able to say what you mean and not fear abandonment? And, like, that's another thing with the people-pleasing stuff, right? The reason we people-please is because we're afraid of losing people. We're afraid of not getting what we want. So we overcompensate and make micromanaging other people's feelings rather than assuming everybody is responsible, right? Yes, fifth. Oh my god, this came through yesterday as well. There's resonance there in the way the planets are energetically connecting to Earth field. And I know that you're on this. Like, I've heard you talk about the Matrix as the Saturn, and that's true. I believe it really is the planetary bodies that are representative of energetic codes and exchanges here. Our sun being a primary one. Yes, of course. Saturn transit, that dark web matrix embedding itself. There's Mars and Saturn making moves where Mars is ready to up-level this matrix, that there is a co-creative, and there's contracts between planets too. Yeah, self-martyrdom. Well, and martyrdom's a real thing though, right? People choose martyrdom. And again, martyrdom is a construct perpetuated in 3D reality that puts us into that bracket of selfless service as well. But again, it's obviously distorted because it requires the martyr to die in service to their and i.e. their own life force. Yeah, probably fifth. I can see you as an interdimensional. So you're in your consciousness field. You're actually connected there. If that makes sense to you, the terms I get in the Akash are all encompassing. Yeah, yeah. I'm sure you do. That's part of the tangible direct experience and you having connections and an understanding of the planetary bodies in as far as how they're co-creating with Earth. Because imagine that the bodies of the planets are like we're bodies, right? This is a body. That's what we call a body, and I'm living in it, and I'm a living life force. So, and then we're the extended living life force on the planet. Well, um, and yeah, I came to the feed today, and um I don't know. Today was a funny day. It's like I didn't really want to, but now I'm moving into this of like just show up. Just only because if I'm honest, and like you guys I'm sure can resonate with this, but like I do. I dip into those days of like what's the point of any of it? You know? When you have these reminders or like things happen and you're like, "Oh yeah." As in like, "Oh yeah, people just want to buy Mackie D's and listen to Taylor Swift, you know?" Not that there's anything wrong with that, but as in, you see some incredible information from like Fifth World, Aluna Ash, and we in this community have these go-tos, right? And then I'm reminded about the masses, right? I'm reminded about the masses, and we're, these videos with like billions of views that are, pardon me, you guys, that are talking about like sex and violence or talking about like breakups and blah blah, and you're like, oh right, oh yeah, that's still where like a lot of the dominant frequency is, right? Yeah, and see, I guess maybe this is also part of like going live is like sharing with you guys. 2 months ago, I just wanted to jump off the planet. Oh my god, right? And these energies are persistent. This is where I'm digging in and like holding space here, and I'm feeling a lot of love here as well. Is some of the trauma wounds coming up for people are big. And I'm aware in my own beingness, like I'm made for this. As in like I know I'm made for just holding space and unconditional loving presence. It's easy when as and when, especially when you anchor in the truth, like the alignment piece, because there's no unconscious seeking external. So you really do just radiate the light, and then the people guided to that frequency, they're the ones that come for you. Fifth World. Okay, and like I watched a few of your videos yesterday. It would have been like daytime. And I know I can feel that energy when you're like putting pardon me, putting see, I'm still clearing stuff as well, which is amazing to me. Um yeah, like broadcasting, and they're subtle for me right now, but I've had these moments of like, I never actually imagined it to be so difficult getting a message across to people. Especially like pure heart love vibrashe and the weird, like the weird physical reality community stuff that has gone on. And then, yeah, not, maybe that's part of the naivety stuff coming off still. And like, again, I can get almost like a bit emotional, but the naivety comes from just assuming that everybody else was kind of operating in this fashion. And then part of the grounding, and then why the getting rid of the kind of transforming all those people pleasing edges is like seeing the underlying codependency in it, and like, and then feeling like anger and embarrassment and like this kind of stuff, and then like it's almost like a shock of like, oh my god, what have I been doing? And like they don't care. Those people don't care. And they don't, as in they care about whatever they care about in the moment, but they're not like caring for the totality of creation on this earth. And honestly, for most of us, it's only an empathic thing that has the ability to do that, because there's so much feeling. And I feel like that's the evolution of the humanity. I feel that us coming alive and awakening is feeling. But there's some of us sort of renegades out in front going like, it's safe. And so in some of my client sessions, actually I'm not, it's never on a one-to-one basis, but it's in group. So in my retreats and yeah, mainly in the retreats, so the intensive kind of transformational experiences, I shift a lot of stuff too. So it's not like there's like me, the host, and then everybody else. It's just a whole bunch of people coming together, and I lead the yoga sessions, and then I'll like hold space in evening meditation and chit chat session. But like everybody's bringing it out, right? And I will have massive healings and clearings, and like, and what I've noticed from the first like intimate retreat I hosted, it was that for some people, seeing like the teacher or whatever, when they see me break down and how I break down, they go, oh right, like that's a that's a release, and I've had a few breakthroughs as well with longtime clients recently. I'm talking people who've been transforming their lives for the last couple of years, and, and are still in it, and they're in the relentlessness of it, but they're starting to see how it works. And there is an acceleration in an exponential growth phase as well. And this is what I mean, is that as the awakening continues, as the paradigm shift energies continues to pop off, we're going to see an acceleration in an exponential way of people shifting, waking up, changing their lives for the better, mass exodus from corporate jobs. I'm hearing something about the banks. The banks are going to start closing down. We're moving into this digital age, and yet it's happening in the ethereal. It's happening behind the scenes. And in some ways it's happening a bit covertly, because a lot of the leadership doesn't actually even know how we're going to do this. Ooh, yeah. And Jupiter's coming in strong as well. There's massive soul expansion, right? Jupiter's coming in, up-leveling the Saturn matrix grid. And then our impact is like awakening those expansive aspects of the lucky Jupiter. Reaches other points. The only reason that I do is because I know that it reaches... I feel that as well, fifth. That's where I anchor into just like my own, and like every aspect of wondering, like, is it difficult to get a message out or da da da, and then I just release and surrender and let go and trust, because there's enough connection, as in the amount of us all connecting here is exactly what it's meant to be. And the beings that are meant to find this channel, find the channel. There's no manipulation, there's no control, there's no tactic. It's just, you know, me sharing as openly and honestly as I can from an open heart space, and also being in my integrity and being able to say no, and being able to say, I don't like it when you do that. And not living in fear of offending people, and then they abandon me and never, you know, it's not always how it is, but it is, right? They're still trying to code the system properly. Ooh, interesting insight. We never got this far before. Now that is something I'm very intuitively aware of, is that we never got this far before. I'm very aware of that in my beingness alive here. I'm like, oh my God, we're still alive, you guys. We're still alive. I don't know why it's so weird, but I'm like, that's the feeling I get. And then I've shared that with different insensitives, and they're like, yep. It's like, we planned to meet every lifetime, but we never did until now. I'm like, yeah, 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 yeah. What am I doing? We will overcome. We will overcome! Fifth, I was astonished by how differently I was received in the world as a married woman, as if my existence was suddenly... Mary, I appreciate that, because I feel that sometimes. And again, I would never need to, like, call it out, although I probably have. But, like moms who, when they find out I'm not a mom, they are like... I'm like, okay. I guess the amount of fucking love and compassion I have for all of humanity doesn't warrant my ability as a mother. Because I never pushed a fucking being out of my vagina. I'm less important as a woman, according to women who have. And these are subtle judgments that I can feel and pick up on. Often because moms in this world are fucking tired. And again, this is also part of my plight. I'm like, guys, and girls, could we please create a system that looks after the people who look after the children? So that they're not stressed out. So that they're not overburdened. So that they're not trying to hit some fucking impossible, invisible target that pleases the corporate's fucking douchebags at the top of the ladder, and meanwhile imprisons our youth. You know, and then we wonder why we have all these fucking chaotic situations across the world with young people. They're out. Who was it? Divine Sight. Somebody that resonates, by the way, of like the not wanting to be here. Myself, there's a collective of us who are bottoming out because literally we haven't come this far. So there's a part of us like, should I exit now? Because I'm pretty sure. But no, we're still here. So it's like, shit. Right. So there is sometimes this like energy of excitement where I'm like, link arms, guys. This is it. Don't get scared. And we shan't. We're not. But it is monumental because we're now anchoring in being used to the new being, which is just the feeling alive, sensitive. And I'm aware simply on, this is like the metaphysical. It's like any of you guys here pretty much are Wonder Twin Powers, activate. It's like that, isn't it? So it's like us as beams of light are like anchoring in different earth systems or grids, and then that's up leveling the density. Trigger. Perhaps your ability to hold enough love for all humanity is why. Totally. I am feeling into that. And the way I feel into that is the paradox of a lot of this stuff, that hence non-judgment, right? Because yes. So it's like there's different beings anchored in different aspects of that unconditional presence. And we're all working out different density patterns and layers in different constellations and configurations. And so we needn't. And that's, to me, the power and the beauty of practicing non-judgment and or unconditional all the time. Right. Well, yeah, I suppose that's like quite relevant. And I'm sure there's like a relevant piece as far as like the essence of life to bring through this body if it's meant to be. As far as like the wave of energies that come into. I'm getting tired of talking now, so I don't even know half the time, you guys, what comes out in these shares. Like, I'm sure there was a time when I was starting out on YouTube being like, right, I'm important. I do lots of yoga, therefore I know stuff. Brr. Brr. I'm important. People should listen to me. Brr. Brr. And then life has just been like, thought it was there, and it was and I'm like, oh my god, I don't know anything. I don't know anything. Don't listen to me. But if you like hanging out and if it feels good, why not? Come along. Let's have a bit of a merde party. Merde? Marie Nugent. Merde en français means shit. Shit. Is that right? Does that make sense? Hi, Andrea. I never finished The Sims. What's that? Gematria messages. Woman, I want to know more about the Gematria. Right. That merde. Oh, excellent. There, I've gone back, Mary Nugent. I'm done giving and receiving that merde, that shit. I know. It's so ridiculous. But, like, so often we don't see it until, like, my last big storm that I reviewed and then saw myself acting out. I'm like, I could just see that little kid in me. This little, and again, I'm not like being hard on myself. I'm just like, bah, God, how do we not know until we know? We don't see it until we fucking do it, right? And then I'm seeing me do this thing and I'm like, there, right there. I'm like, right there, MJ, you don't need to fucking get concerned about this person's problem. And what I observed was me actually literally going out of my way to tend to somebody's drama, basically. And then that bit me in the arse, and it has done, historically speaking, for most of my life. So I'm like, could you learn? Could you learn the lesson? And not get involved in other people's fucking drama? Because they don't care. They're different from you. They're in a different... And also, there are just people who don't want... They like the drama. There's a part of their ego that likes the drama. And that's another piece that I saw for the first time recently. I saw how someone's ego was getting all like juiced up on the drama and that they were loving it, even though their voice was going, oh my god, like she did a but like in their beingness they're like, yeah, that feels good. In my beingness I'm like, ha. Right? It like hurts my soul, like hurts inside my heart. So I'm like, that doesn't resonate with me. So also, but weirdly, a part of my own ego arrogance, because this is actually a step in the book, is like, I have the answers for all, and so I must get involved in everyone's drama so that I can fix it and be everyone's savior. Huh? Oh, little ball of barf. Ching! Sorry guys, that's kind of gross. But the truth, it's like, I saw it. I saw how my little naive ego wanted to be the lovely little version and just be so nice and just get right in there, just get entangled right in all that drama until violence broke out. Actual violence broke out in this situation. So you can imagine my like like intense storming, and then review. And then it's all a bit heightened in the review stage. Once it settles but right back down, you're like, okay, I got this. And again, I can only say, look at my page, it says new cycle. All I can say is like, I just feel completely fucking different. And I really, really, like, here's the thing. If I say something and it hurts your feelings, then bring it. I'll apologize. I'm like that. I'm not somebody who's going to then turn around and make you feel bad. Be like, you're not allowed. If you fucking reacted against my reaction, then you're a fucking dick. No, I would be like, I know, I'm sorry I reacted. I could feel it. You don't deserve that kind of shittiness. You know, that's the kind of person I am. Yeah, but it's that counter overcompensation for the manipulator and or the oppressor and or the narcissist who literally takes no responsibility for anything they feel. They just assume everything around them should fit into their expectation. And then we're the enablers of that. We've been there going, I'll fit into your expectation because it makes me feel so good. It makes me feel a part of something. It makes me feel special. I'll just be super nice and shiny. But if I have a bad day, or if something doesn't quite work with me, then people are like, oh, you're not happy anymore. Get out, you know? And you're like, hey, sorry. Like, what is this? What do I blab on for? Except for the love heart vibrashe. I know, and I'm increasingly reminded of the people who are like, you know, normal. And I'm like, what does that mean? So, like, I'm like, what? So what is normalcy, you guys? Is normalcy enslavement? Is normalcy misery? Is it, oh, I don't know, you know, like, what's the norm then? If I'm not the norm, if people are like, you crazy, or like, I'm secretly talking to you because you're crazy, but I'm inside crazy, but everyone else is normal. I'm like, what is it? I dare not think of it, actually. I just assume that we all live in this wonderful world where we all care for one another. And are perfectly fucking authentic weirdos. Come on, it's fine, you guys. Hey, call 420. Woo woo. Chinga, 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 ching. Paradigms are the norm, right, Rochelle? Jeez. Sometimes, Rochelle, with the insights, I swear to God. Good stuff, I mean. Good stuff, yo. Yeah, right? Because I'm like, it's just perspective that's the norm. It's just the individual that is the so-called norm, but there's no norm. Oh my God, but then I'm getting that's the up level. That's the unity piece. The unity piece is us just realizing like we're all human, so we're all normal. I must actually look up the definition as well, right? Having fun and loving like a child, that's our default. So true. So true, you guys. I'm getting ready to go now, you guys. I just love you loads. And I'm blessed to know you all. I'm blessed to be a part of this YouTube community. And all of you guys who reach out, who share stuff, who care, who support, you know that I have mega, mega love and support for you, even when I get triggered. It's true. I just get triggered, and then I just have to ride it out and be like, yeah! And then you shake it off, you're like, okay, fine, my heart is now open and clear once again. You can be there safely without me attacking you. Oh, blessed that you guys are here as well. I love you all. Have a gorgeous, gorgeous day or night or afternoon, wherever you are, whatever time of day it is. I have mega appreciation for you. Thank you for all your comments, subscribes, liking, sharing, and those of you choosing the love. You know, I so thank God that you're here. I think maybe we res with this, like for a lot of us, it's like if we weren't all showing up for each other now, it would be way harder, right? Yay! Thank you guys! But I cover all my bills too, for sure. Aren't we lucky? So grateful. We're so